That's just what I've been told from people who like work in the who work in like the industry where they get tips like that.
Okay.
They say that they put money in there because if it's empty, like
it just it's a mental trigger.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's probably true, but yeah, we can research it. Okay, ready to explain your quote of the day?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll tell you. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everybody. We're live in the Dirty Kitchen. Me, Marcus, I'm going to give you the Alpha Graphics quote of the day by Sir Walt Disney. I don't know if he's a sir or not. Just felt like saying that. But the quote goes, "The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing." So with that being said, a lot of us, we have a lot of goals and ambitions that we'd like to do in our life, but we always talk about it and we don't really put the action, put that first foot forward. So that's what I strongly encourage everybody to do today. If you have goals, ambitions, stop talking about it and start doing it. It's all about the actions, not the words. Marcus signing out.
Yeah. And what we're talking about today is the theory of exponential growth. Are you familiar at all with that?
I am not.
Okay, so this is coined from a guy named Peter Diamandis. Have you heard of him?
I have not.
Okay, well, he's pretty cool. So he is the guy that invented the X Prize, it's called. And what the original, there's several of them now, but what the point of the X Prize is to get crowdsourcing, which is using the population to attain big goals and take on big challenges.
Okay.
So his original vision was that he wanted to be an astronaut, and he realized that to get into NASA and actually get to go to space was nearly impossible. So he tried to figure out how could he get to space without being through NASA. So he invented this thing called the X Prize, and he put together a $10 million prize to get a private space travel industry going, and whoever was the first person to be able to privately take somebody into space would get a prize for $10 million. So that's how Richard Branson got into space through all of this stuff invented by Peter. And he's kind of known for thinking in exponential ways and exponential growth, and not just growing 1x, 2x, but 10x. So completely revolutionizing business instead of just doing simple improvements.
Okay.
So that's his mindset. So and just for his most recent thing he's working on is mining near-Earth asteroids. So he's developing robots that can go to an asteroid and mine them for their minerals, and they're going to be worth trillions of dollars if he can figure out how to do that, mine the asteroid and bring it back to Earth so they can use the minerals here on Earth. So that's how big he thinks.
Wow.
Pretty big, pretty out there. So the way to get into this conversation is there's going to be two types of growth. So there's linear, which means it's always growing at a constant rate or a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
And so example of that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So in succession, one at a time, all the way. And then there's exponential growth, which is growing at a rate that's increasing by a constant. So that would be, let's think, doubling. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and so on. So in the same timeline of growth, exponential is way out ahead of linear growth. Okay? So a quick case study that helps us kind of understand the concept of exponential growth to consider is thinking about Kodak and Instagram. So can you remember Kodak? It was the cameras. Yes, so the film, they were the guys that kind of helped get your photography onto a physical print, and they made all the chemicals and all the machines that did all of that processing to get film into printed photos. And so they were at their prime, they were a $20 billion company with 140,000 employees, spanning over a timeline of business of over 100 years of being in business. So that's a pretty big deal. And in 1976, Kodak themselves invented the digital camera. So one of their engineers invented the very original digital camera, and it had 0.01 megapixels of clarity.
Okay.
So I don't even know what they are today, like 1200 megapixels.
4K.
4K, exactly. So here's the thing though, when you presented it to the top guys at Kodak, they said, this thing is not useful, it goes against everything we are, this is more of a kid's toy than a legitimate item. So they kind of ignored it, pushed it aside, and in 2012, Kodak filed for bankruptcy as digital cameras decimated their business. Now on the flip side,
just like old Netflix going to Blockbuster.
Exactly the same thing. So on the flip side, a company called Instagram, which we're using right now, had 13 employees, and their main focus was only digital imagery. Forget the other stuff. It was all digital, all images, all digitized. And they sold their company to Facebook for $1 billion with only 13 employees working in the office. So that's an example of someone that was thinking linear versus someone that was thinking exponential. So how can we think and act like Instagram and not Kodak? And also, how can we find the Kodaks in our industry that we're competing against right now? And how can we figure out a new way to disrupt them and in the name of competitive business, knock them out of the game?
For good.
So that's just a new way that I want to kind of, maybe we can think and come up with something completely different that even we're not doing now that could change the game. Why not? We could do it, right? So there's 3 kind of D's of exponential growth that we can think about. There's several more, but these are the 3 that'll help us focus on today. So the first D is digitize. So what can we turn into a digital product as opposed to something that's currently physical that will produce the same outcome and the same result? And what product or service can we move from the old school into the new school in print, graphic design, marketing, and science? So it's something that we got to think about and think big. See, something like that, right? And then, so once you digitize a product, then it gets into a period of deceptive growth, they call it. So it's a deceptive exponential growth period. So that's where people don't really realize what's happening, but under the radar, this thing that you've developed and digitized starts to get big, and nobody really realizes that it's growing so quickly. And then the last D is once people actually do notice, like, whoa, this is getting big, then it becomes disruptive. And that's where it starts to disrupt, collide, and break up the pattern of everything that was there before. So another great example would be Uber and Airbnb. So they digitized the hotel and the taxi cab industry. They had a period of exponential growth where you kind of heard about Uber, but you didn't really see it or know how big it was getting. Same with Netflix, right? You heard about it, but you never used it. And then next thing you know, boom, it blows up, worth multi-billion dollars, right? And now all of a sudden, the hotel and the taxi cab and the movie industry are all disrupted, and the old way that they were doing is becoming obsolete and it's not working anymore. And these new guys that started in their garage are becoming the new hotels, the new movies, the new taxi cab industry. So I just want us to think today, how can we do that in our industry? What can we design, develop, and create to disrupt the current way things are being done? If we could crack the code and become a new industry leader in something like that, then we could go to unimaginable heights. And so the scary thing is, if you're our competition and you're watching this, that's how we're thinking over here, and we're coming for you. So
both of y'all.
For both of y'all, we got the YouTube, Instagram Live, and we're gonna tap out of Instagram Live right now, but I want you guys to think too, how can you guys grow exponentially? So not just baby steps, but how can you take giant leaps, blow things up, and come back as a completely different source. 10x instead of just 2x. Okay, so thanks for watching today. Make sure that you tune in. Hashtag The Dirty Kitchen at Alpha Graphics West Ave on Instagram, at AG West Ave on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks as always for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Alright, so that is my challenge. So I think when we do things though, like these marketing campaigns where we're doing product launches, where I don't think very many other people are advertising digitally on Facebook for printing.
No, definitely not. I haven't seen any.
And if we can figure out a way to make this, to get through that deceptive growth. But if you think about it, when I did that product launch and sold $5,000 worth of product, that's pretty big. It's under the radar, but if we can start turning that into a quarterly or a monthly thing, next thing you know, that could be our $100,000 a month consistent, without even all the stuff that we're working on right now as in regular sales.
Yeah.
So the only thing that's tough about that is that it takes time to develop that stuff, and it takes away from working on immediate results and immediate sales. So that's where we gotta think, what can we do that we can work in something like that along with what we're doing every day. And maybe that means adding some people, but of course to add people you gotta make money to do that, otherwise we can't afford to add people. So maybe it's something that we can't do immediately. Maybe if we can start hitting 62.5 on 3 months in a row. But we gotta think differently than we are right now, because we're not doing it.
Digital marketing, there's always interns. There's people who like to do this stuff.
Okay.
And
and we could pay them on a profit-only basis, where if you get paid on results only, and if we don't get results, then you don't get paid.
Yeah.
See, yeah, that's what we need to think. Like, how can we get that new method or that new approach that no one else is doing, and all of a sudden they're like, oh man, those guys over at Alpha Graphics, or how'd they get so big? Oh, well, they're doing all this stuff that nobody else in printing is doing.
Yeah. That, like, kind of like how, kind of how you said, like, Gary Vee's got he's got that constant news feed. You know what I mean? Of just stuff just getting printed out and stuff.
Oh yeah, he's got a whole team constantly putting out. Every 15 minutes he's got a new story that's got links going to videos, going to other videos, going to podcasts, going to this and that, and it's just a constant flow of attention.
Yeah, and if we had that of just constant, works being done, and just.
So we just made this video so we could submit it to somebody, and they're turning it into 15 Instagram posts out of the 30-minute video.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or like the signs that we do, like, just as soon as something comes right off the press, it's just like boom, it's right there on the news feed, or just anytime even like with the people that come in after after they come and pick up their order or something, we congratulate, like I don't know, like kind of like how you say how we do like our follow-ups, like,
yes,
like here if we do like our follow-ups with them too,
Can we put a QR code in the top of every box, or like inside the delivered box, and say scan here, leave us a review?
That works too.
And it just goes straight to Yelp from their smartphone, and they can put in a review. That'd be cool. And I've noticed just from putting my socials in my email for the last 2 weeks, I've got several followers on LinkedIn and Instagram, people that I recognize their names because I've been emailing them.
Okay.
And I think in the last 2 weeks I've got like 6 people.
Okay.
That followed me just from having them in my every single email I send.
I've been wanting to get with you on that, on how you did that.
Okay, we can set that up for you. But I literally noticed, I was like, oh wow, that guy's following me. I just worked with him. And I'd be like, oh yeah, it's because I put it in my email.
Yeah.
And people are clicking on it because it's just curiosity.
Yeah. Oh, who is this guy? Like you said, like it's also like in the prospecting book, the fanatical prospecting is that you have to have like your social media presence, because that's how people, because they're gonna look you up whether you give them information or not. Like they're gonna like who's X, Y, and Z. So if you're already giving that information, you're that
gap.
Yeah. So like, oh well, let me see what.
And the more reviews we get and the more traffic, I think that automatically places us higher on the search indexing results, so we get clicked on first. And since we do good work, that's why we have so many good reviews. If you look at our Yelp, I think it's 4.5 out of 5. Our Facebook's 5 out of 5. And then even if you jump back and look at our Presto printing history, which is still up there, which still generates leads.
Yeah, because you know
Yeah.
how many times a day
It's
Presto
all-
printing?
It's all good.
There's at least like at least two phone calls for
Yeah.
Presto printing a day.
Yep, so it's all good. So we've got that. We got the good reviews. We need more, but maybe we should print, leave a review QR code, and start with just as our clients as a test, our deliveries, and see what happens.
Okay.
I'll develop. If you think that's a good idea, I'll develop it,
Okay.
and we'll make it fit inside of a business card box. But then we can also drop it inside of whatever else we print. But business cards are the smallest boxes, so if it fits in there, then it'll fit in everything.
Okay.
Okay, that'd be cool. There we go. A new idea.
Boom.
That's how you develop new ideas in the dirty kitchen. You put your heads together, talk it through,